I hereby convene this meeting of the Water Operations Committee, the Board of Directors of the Lower Colorado River Authority. Today is Tuesday, May 20th, and the time is 9:30 a.m. Quorum is present, and the General Counsel will record each committee member who is in attendance. If you'd like to speak during public comment on an item listed on the committee agenda today, please sign up at the entrance to the meeting room. Do we have any? Any comment? Public? Okay, good. Okay. All right, the next item is to approve the minutes from our last meeting. Are there any corrections? If not, is there a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve.
Second, all in favor say aye. Aye. The motion passes. All right, for today, the topics are basin conditions update. And Kelly, I hate to see you again, but because you don't have good news.
Yes, sir.
I mean, I'm always happy to see you. I don't like your bad news.
I appreciate the correction there. Thank you. Clarification. Chair Martine, Chair Cooper, and board members, I'm going to visit with you a little bit about the basin update. It's a little truncated compared to months past because Bob is going to be here and give us a broader weather update as soon as I get finished. So here's a graph summarizing the inflows to Lakes Buchanan and Travis for January through April. And as you can see, the inflow for April, while it was up compared to previous months in the year, it's still only about 13% of the long-term average for April. And it continues to be really dry and low in rainfall, sufficient to produce significant inflows in our basin. This is a similar graph showing it compared to medians. Not really a different story to tell here because the flows are low. We were about 25% of the long-term median monthly inflow for April. This is a comparison of the drought of record, which is the line in blue from 2008 to 2015, compared to the current drought that we're in, which is started in 2019, is the last time we were completely full. And as you can see, we're still above where we were during the drought of record, but things have been going down since last fall. The combined storage as of May 1st was 213,703 acre feet, more than on May 1st in 2014. So this is our projection chart. It shows where we've been is the navy blue line to the left of the yellow line, and the forecasts are projections for dry, extremely dry, median, and wet conditions going off to the right of the yellow line. On May 1st, we were at a combined storage of 946,992 acre feet. And as of this morning, we were at 933,489, or 47% full. And if you look at the lower two lines on the graph, the dry and the extremely dry, it shows that we could, if we stay in this dry weather pattern, we could enter stage 3 of our DCP sometime around August of this year. I want to remind you that Garwood is in operation. The lower river, however, is drying out, just like inflows have been low to the lakes. The lower river is getting dry, and this week we started releasing some interruptible stored water to supplement Garwood's use in the ag divisions. They took a little bit, about 383 acre feet at the end of April, first part of May, but they're getting back into the interruptible stored water. And if you'll recall, they've got a cap of 18,100 acre feet of interruptible stored water this year. The lower river being really dry also makes it challenging and makes it even more important for us to communicate with the city of Corpus Christi, who has a water right in our basin downstream, and we need to make sure we're keeping them informed of their water availability under their right and if they're able to pump or not. They've been pumping pretty hard most of this springtime on that right. Their lakes are in bad shape as well, and so they've been using their Colorado River water right as well. Any questions on any of that? Okay, here's the lake projections. As of May 1st at midnight, we were at 635.61 in Lake Travis. As of this morning, about a tenth lower, 635.5. And you can see the forecasts. If we stay in that dry realm, we could be approaching 620 the 1st of November. Looking at Lake Buchanan, we were at 998.73 as of May 1st, and as of this morning, we were at 998, so dropped about 3/4 of a foot there. And a similar situation to what we saw with Lake Travis and with the projections as well. That dry line really shows us dropping into, what is that, 985 range November 1st if we don't get some more rain. And then looking back at lake level comparisons, combined storage this year on May 1st was 992 acre feet, and that's about a little over 100,000 acre feet more than where we were on May 1st last year. So storage is in better shape than it was last year. If you'll recall, we got some storms in May and June and got a pretty significant bump in the lakes. And so we're looking forward to seeing some weather like that here the last half of the month here and in June. But Bob will be better equipped to describe how or if that may happen when I get finished. Do y'all have any questions for me? Okay. I will turn it over.
Chair Martine, Chair Cooper, good morning, members of the board. No pressure here from Kelly setting me up like that. But I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about what we can expect in the upcoming summer. And I don't want to give everything away, but right now I don't have the best of news. I don't see any big rains coming our way. But Mother Nature can oftentimes fool us, so we'll see. But this is what the best science is showing us at the current time. When to start off, talk a little bit about, take you back to last fall, just briefly, to show you how we had such a dry fall across our region and especially into the watershed, into the hill country. What we're looking at right here is the rainfall departure from normal between October 1 and the end of March. Over that 6-month period, you can see that most areas are in that color of tan up there, and the darkest color of tan is 8 to 12 inches below normal. So we missed out on a lot of rain, but you can see the entire basin, everywhere from Brownwood south to Matagorda Bay, was all well below normal in rainfall. So that was for that 6-month period. And then focusing in on the hill country itself for our watershed, over that 6-month period, the average rainfall was only 3 3/4 inches. It was the 13th driest such October through March on record, and the driest we've seen here since that period in 2012 to 2013. So that takes us up to the end of March. Since that time, moving into April and in May, we're looking at rainfall departure from normal for April on the left. And it is interesting that sort of the western half of the hill country you see there in green, we were a little bit above normal, not a lot. We were not even an inch above normal, but we were a little bit above normal. But the rest of the basin was all below normal in rainfall. And we had high hopes for this May that it was going to bring us a lot of rain. The early forecasts were showing it to be a wet month. And then things started to change here about 2 weeks ago in a lot of the data showing that the storms are going to miss us more to the east and more to the north. And what you're looking at here is the rainfall departure from normal. And you can see, especially across the hill country, we're well below normal on the rainfall and really through the Austin area and all the way down to the coast. We're barely at 50% of what is normal rainfall for the middle of May. So, and this is typically our wettest month of the year. So we're missing out on a lot of rain, but we still have about a week and a half left in the month of May. So we could pick up some rains, especially next week. We are looking at some rain developing on Sunday and certainly on Memorial Day and going into next Tuesday. Some of our forecasts right now are saying maybe, especially in the hill country, could see about 1 to 2 inches of rain out of this system. So, fingers crossed on that. But we're not done yet, and June can be a wet month for us as well. So it's been a dry 6-8 months across our region, or drier than normal. We've had a lot of unusual heat early in the year. We've had a lot of wind this year. All of that put together has really caused drought conditions to remain across our area and actually grow worse. But it's interesting, if you look at the drought monitor across Texas, North Texas, East Texas, and even the Panhandle, they're actually out of drought. The storms have actually been moving over that area of the state. There's no drought. And really much of the Brazos River Basin is not in drought. But then you go just to the west, move into the Colorado Basin, and then all the way west to the Rio Grande. And that's where the rain, for some reason, has really been missing our area. And you're seeing the various levels of drought across the hill country, through central Texas, and all the way down to the coast. If we zoom in on the basin itself, you can see that for much of the hill country, we're talking about either severe drought, extreme drought, or exceptional drought. Much of Gillespie County and down to the south and to the southwest is characterized as being an exceptional drought. That's the last level on this scale. And even going all the way up north towards San Saba in that area, you can see we're still dealing with drought. Go through the Austin area, down to the coast, we're dealing with various levels of drought there. It's only when you get down to about Matagorda County and Matagorda Bay in that area where we're only talking abnormally dry only. We've had some timely rains down in that area this spring, but still we're below normal, what is normal for this time of the year.
It's funny, if you look at that white block that comes in over the panhandle of Tom Green County and Sterling County in that area there, that matches up. If you've been watching the radar and the storms coming in, it's basically right where those storms have been headed up towards DFW. They start dumping rain just west of where that panhandle comes in there from Tom Green County, and then just heads up towards Brown County all the way to the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Just missing us. Yeah. And what we have caught has been up in that upper Pecan Bayou watershed.
It's sort of a similar story last year. There's where a lot of our rains affected was the Pecan Bayou watershed. It's just the way the storms have evolved this spring that we've just been a little bit unlucky. They've been a lot more to the west or more to the north. And if you take a look back at where we were last year at this time on the drought monitor, man, things were a lot better. We were seeing a wetter pattern last May, especially across North Texas and a good part of West Texas. And for much of our basin, we had already started seeing the effects of those rains. You could see that we were mainly in either like the first level of drought or maybe abnormally dry, where this year, we're all the way up there to exceptional drought over parts of our watershed. So a very, very different story. And again, we've just missed out on so much rain through the fall period. We missed out on a good part of our spring rain so far as well. So, and then now with temperatures warming up, it really just exacerbates the drought situation across our area. A lot of this has to do with what's going on out in the Pacific. As most of you all know, when I talked with you last time, we were looking at the development of a La Nina, which is the cooling of the waters in the tropical Pacific in between the coast of South America and all the way out beyond the international date lines. That area I have circled there. And we actually did see a weak La Nina develop. It started kind of late this year when it was declared, but it was the beginning of the winter. It went all the way through the end of March. And since that time, the La Nina has gone away. That is good news. But the atmosphere itself is still behaving in some ways just like a La Nina, where many of the storms are moving to the north of our region. And so much of central Texas, South Texas is just missing out on the storms. Now, I will tell you that the forecast looking forward is saying that the Pacific will remain in a neutral state going forward through the summer months based on the majority of our computer forecast models. We came out of La Nina and now we're in that what's called ENSO neutral, where you're not in either La Nina or an El Nino. And in the ENSO neutral pattern, the weather pattern can be a bit more variable. We can go into sometime periods of wet weather or dry weather, extended dry weather, or sometimes go toward near normal. So there's not that big driver out of the Pacific that we normally see during either an El Nino or La Nina. And on this bar chart, we're looking at in time all the way out to December, January, February. You can see that the gray bar there indicating an ENSO neutral pattern is probably most likely phase of the Pacific to continue through the summer months, at least into the early fall. As we get out to next fall, though, you notice that probability starts coming down and we're starting to be neck and neck almost with the development of another La Nina. Not good news, because La Ninas tend to bring our region a drier than normal pattern, especially in the fall and winter months. So we really don't want to see that come back. The probability of an El Nino, the red bar there, is pretty low. It's around 15%. Doesn't mean it can't happen, but right now I think the most likely outcomes we're going to stay in ENSO neutral. It's better than being in La Nina, but still, we would love to see the shift to an El Nino, which generally brings our region a wetter than normal pattern. So having said that, now that we're starting to move into summer, we're starting to look at June, July, and August, a lot of what determines our weather for the summer is where is that darn heat dome going to set up for the summer months. And right now, most of our forecast models are saying that the heat dome is going to set up not right on top of us, but close to us, more over New Mexico into the southern Rockies. Some of the models is even saying it may be more north of there, even up into the central Rockies. But if you remember last summer, most of us will say, it wasn't quite as bad as like the summer before that in 23 or 22. It didn't have nearly as many 100-degree days. And that's because that heat dome was not on top of Texas for much of the summer. It stayed out to the west, it moved off to the east. And as most of y'all know, it wasn't that bad of a summer. We did pick up 30 100-degree days, but in 2023 we had 80. So there was a big difference last year. Well, what we're looking at this summer is that the heat dome is probably going to be a little closer to us than it was last summer. We're going to see the influence from that many times. So that means probably not as much rain as we had last summer and more hotter temperatures across our region. I wanted to show you, just take you real quick, through one of our forecast models. This is from the European, one of our best performing models of what it's saying that this summer will be. Now, we're going to start off and just talk about precipitation here real quick. This is the outlook for June. You can see that for much of central Texas, it's clear. That means, that not below normal, not above normal, kind of near normal precipitation. I'll kind of take that because June is typically either our second or third wettest month of the year. It does show drier than normal conditions across the southern plains. Moving into July, you see kind of a mixture of near normal to a little below normal in rainfall. Nothing that's indicating it to be a wet, June or July, but again, kind of near normal in the rain. Looking out to August, again, a forecast for kind of near normal rain. You see South Texas, there's some indications that it might be a little below normal. September, I hope this comes true, is showing you all that green there across central Texas and down toward the south being above normal in rainfall. So again, if you put all that together, kind of near normal rain, maybe a little below normal in rainfall, just not seeing anything really wet coming our way. Maybe September might, that along with tropical weather might bring us more rain. On the temperature side, I think, again, this is going to be a hotter summer than we had last year. The outlook for June, you see that yellow over our area. It's showing about 1 degree above normal on the temperature. I think the modeling here is a little underestimating it. I think we're going to be warmer than that. And you see for July there, then we start moving into that second level of shading. That's somewhere between 1 and 2 degrees above normal. And again, I think the modeling may be underestimating. I think we're going to be hotter than that than what the modeling is showing. This is August, and I sure hope the model is right on this one. It's showing that, we're somewhere maybe a degree above normal, but personally, I think we're going to be hotter than that. In September, also showing a near normal pattern of temperature. Of course, if we're getting that above normal rain, that kind of makes sense. Overall, I think we're going to be hotter than that. Temperatures are maybe up around 2 degrees above normal. Now, to put that into context, our hottest summers on record, like 2011, or the second hottest summer on record was 2023, we were near 4 degrees above normal. So I don't think we're going to be in that territory, but we're going to be much hotter than what we were seeing last summer, still ending up probably somewhere as a top 10 summer for our area. This is what NOAA is actually showing for June through August. You can see on the rainfall side, they're in that category where they kind of don't want to show, equal chances. They're just not seeing enough trend to say, well, it's going to be drier than normal or it's going to be wetter than normal, somewhere in between. It could go either way on their rainfall forecast. The one thing they are showing there, high probabilities that the entire country is going to be warmer than normal this summer, and especially for Texas, you can see very high probabilities on that. Let's take this, taking it out just a little bit further, looking out into the fall. What is NOAA saying? It's not a lot of help. You see equal chances on the rainfall. I mean, at least they're not showing below normal rainfall. It could end up being maybe a lot of wetness here, September, October. We'll see how the tropical weather season starts to influence us as we get to late summer, fall. But right now, again, no big signals that we're going to see a lot of rain. On the temperature side, you can see, again, high probabilities the temperature will remain above normal going through the fall period. So I'll talk just briefly about the hurricane season. You know, hurricane season is going to start here in just under 2 weeks. June 1st is the official start. Of course, we could see storms in May as well. We've seen that before. Right now, we're not seeing that in the Atlantic. There's nothing brewing out there. I think we're going to get through May without the development of any storms. But I did want to talk a little bit about this season. I think it is going to be a pretty active season. If you look at the sea surface temperature anomalies here, we're looking out into the Gulf, the Caribbean, and all the way out to Africa. You can see that a lot of tan colors up there, especially in the Caribbean and into the Gulf as well. That's all indicating that sea surface temperatures that are warmer than normal. Now, they're not quite as warm as where they were last year at this time. Those were among the warmest we had ever observed, but they're still much warmer than normal. But if you get over there to the eastern side, you see a lot of blue just off the west coast of Africa, where the waters have actually cooled off through the winter period. But I do think that's only temporary. It has to do with that the trade winds were blowing stronger than normal through the winter. When you have a lot of wind blowing over the water, you get a lot of evaporation and you get a lot of cooling. Well, those winds are starting to return more to normal now, and I do think those waters over there will start to warm up here in the next couple of months. We're starting to see some signs that maybe we might even see early development this year, maybe even in the month of June. If you look out into the Gulf, again, they're warmer than normal, but we're also seeing some other factors in the atmosphere that make us think that we're probably going to see an early storm this year. Now, if it makes it to Texas, who knows at this point? The science is just not there yet. But this could be a source of clouds and moisture as we get into the summer period for our area. This is the latest, big forecast that is out for the season. NOAA is going to have theirs out on Thursday. This is from Colorado State and Dr. Klotzbach. He's saying, another very busy season, 17 named storms. Last year we had 18. Of those, 9 of those will become hurricanes. The average there is 7, so again, we're above normal. And he's calling for 4 major hurricanes, the category 3, 4, 5. So those we don't want to see. Those are the really destructive hurricanes, very similar to what we saw last fall with Helene and Milton. So again, the early forecasts are it's going to be a busy season. We could see some of this activity into the Gulf, possibly the Texas coast. We'll see how things go as we get a little bit further into the summer. So kind of putting everything together that I've been talking with you about, slightly below normal rainfall as we go through the summer season. Just not seeing any big signals for heavy rain at this time. Of course, June, again, like I mentioned, we could be kind of a surprise. We'll see how the weather pattern does develop, but we can still get some good rains even in the month of June. Hotter than normal temperatures this summer. We've already been getting a taste of that right now in May. Readings probably somewhere around 2 degrees above normal. We're in ENSO neutral, likely to stay in ENSO neutral all the way into the early fall. And then, like I just mentioned a minute ago, an active hurricane season coming our way. We'll definitely be keeping our eyes on that as we get into the summer months.
And question for you.
Yeah,
Can you unpack the ACE west of 60 degrees west and what that means for us?
Sure.
Thanks.
Let me back up here real quick. Phil is referring to that second line just below the bottom, ACE west of 60 degrees west. ACE stands for accumulated cyclone energy. That's where they're looking at the wind energy per day that a storm is actually present. And from that, they derive a figure, and then you add those up for every day that storm is occurring. And then, then you add all those from every storm that you have through the season, you add all those up at the end of the year, and you get a final number. And you can see that his forecast for this year shows a number of 93. Now, that doesn't really mean anything. It's kind of not an arbitrary number, but that's adding up all of his projected storms. And you can see over there on the right-hand side, a normal is 73. So we're pretty much above, where what would be normal of 73. We're up to 93. And I can tell you that some of the busiest seasons that we've ever had the top number was about 120. So, we're not up at 120, but still that's a pretty good number being up at 90. So that's an indication that we're going to have a busy season, a lot of storms.
Thank you.
Yeah, sharp eyes there. Anybody else, any other questions? All right, well, thank you all very much.
Mr. Chairman, we are, in a good way, 5 minutes ahead of schedule, but we're posted for 10 certain for energy ops, so we need a 5-minute kind of visit among yourselves before you read us in, if that's okay. So we start at 10 certain, if that's okay, because we're posted for that.
If you're ready to adjourn the meeting.
You could adjourn water ops, but we can't
right.
read it until 10 o'clock for
The
energy.
Water Operations Committee is adjourned at 9:56 a.m.